Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Podcast looks a little different today. So we were expecting for the show to be myself, Avenger One, and Croncy. Croncy messaged me just maybe an hour ago saying he's dead and isn't going to be able to make it. He's alive, but he runs like a gaming thing, and they were doing the Battlefield beta. He ran it all night, so he was just like, he's been working his butt off. So he was like, I can't make it today. Can you cover for me? And I said, sure. But the great thing is we already had a guest. If you caught the end of last week's podcast, Avenger One was waiting in the queue because we were kind of talking about Light Fighters, and he was like, wait, you're talking about Light Fighters? You didn't invite me? And then it was getting really late. We had to go. So I was like, let's just have you on a guest for next week. So here's Avenger One. Many of you guys, I'm sure, know Avenger One, but just in case somebody's new here or something like that, new to Star Citizen, who are you? Why am I having you come on to talk about PvP, Light Fighters, that kind of stuff?
Well, my name is Avenger One.
And his camera's broken. So yes, we know already.
I apologize for that. We'll get it fixed for next time, I guess. But yeah, my name is Avenger One. I've been doing SC content for the better part of 6 years now. I've been playing the game for a long, long time. Came from a game called EVE Online, started a group called Bombers Bar, then came over. And I've been doing instructional content on teaching people how to play the game, how to get good for a long time now. And I've been a super passionate supporter for this game. I really want it to be successful. But I think there is a lot of fiery opinions out there, and we all know that putting your opinion on the internet means you get flamed 24/7 all the time, no matter what you say. So it's been a polarizing thing. I have very entrenched opinions about PvP and culture with this game that some people don't agree with, but that's fine. That's why we're all part of this community, and we're trying to make it the best experience we can. But that's what I do. I teach people how to play.
Yeah, so don't get too mad in the comments. If you want to get mad, be respectfully mad. That's don't be like me, basically. But yeah, the reason we're kind of wanting to talk today is, if you didn't catch last week, or the last couple weeks, I guess, tons of changes to Light Fighters. There's been a new Light Fighter introduced, and yeah, there's I think something worth talking about. I think the last time I talked to you, or saw videos and stuff like that, it was more along the lines of ships like the M50, ships like what's the little tiny one that looks like the Star Wars ship.
The Fury, you've got the Archimedes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, you were more kind of in line with like all right, well, these are the better ships or these smaller ones. The first thing I would ask just quickly is, with these changes, are these smaller, like more racing ships, less of the ships that you're enjoying, or is it more like, did any Light Fighter changes make that change? Has anything changed between those videos? Like, I mean, this was a long time ago now, a few months ago, probably, maybe more. What has changed from those to now? I know that's a lot of questions, but my bad.
So like I released a tier list video 9 months ago.
Oh, wow, that long ago. Okay, yeah.
It's been 9 months. I'm going to give you the two I have now that I'm releasing probably in the next couple hours.
Oh, shit, okay.
I can send it to you on DM so you can pull those up while we're going through this.
Sure.
So there has been a bunch of different changes. But the overall state of the game, it's kind of a race to the bottom, we call it in the PvP space, where the person who brings the smaller, faster ship typically has the advantage, right? So the idea is, some of these Light Fighter and ship combat changes have moved some of the ships in different positions from lower tiers to more. So there are better changes that are being made here. I actually agree with a lot of the changes. However, the overall meta of smaller is better is still very much in force. The smaller ships are definitively better than basically anything that's larger size. Stub fighters are still hilariously powerful. That
they're just hard to hit, right? And the guns aren't that, they don't do that less damage, I guess.
Yeah, so the problem is all about capability, right? Like, a small Fury is going to kill something less. It's going to kill something. It's going to take longer for it to kill than a Hornet, but the Fury can still kill it. So what if it takes an extra 30 seconds or a minute? You're still going to get the kill, and you get the added benefit of not dying, so you can move to the next target, the next target, the next target. With a Hornet or some of these bigger ships, you'll be able to kill it pretty quickly, but then you might die, or you might like you just die, and that's terrible, because once you're dead, you can't do any damage. So this idea of the smaller ships having essentially infinite survivability, and then anything, I'd say that's around a heavy fighter size or even a medium fighter size, is just going to get pieced up by these smaller, more maneuverable fighters. And I'm not too sure if that's the way CIG wants it to be. But the problem is, when you get a gang of arrows or a gang of furies or anything you see there in A and S tier, you can still kill Idrises, you can still kill Polarises, you can still kill all these big ships. And even if you don't kill them, you can still knock their shields down for something that can kill them. So you're still highly effective against larger platforms. And so it's
that's
really
been one of the bigger problems, is like
and armor won't fix that.
I don't have you on this screen. I have Croncy on this screen. Hold on. See, this is the meme: is Croncy's camera freezes, and I just leave that whenever that happens. I have to add you to
my
this
hairline. It's so much better. use that other picture I sent you.
Yeah, it's coming. I forgot to add it to this scene.
This is the greatest picture. I need the one with the Fury, where I'm inside the Fury. My head, like my face is stretched.
There he is.
No. The other one.
What other one?
If you got it, I sent you another one.
Did you? Okay, hold on. I'll leave this one for now, and then I'll grab it.
Yeah.
You don't know how complicated it is to put you on here.
I believe you.
Because I'm using my 2 PC setup just to get this, because I guess I don't need to do it, but the background of this is your Discord call. So if I was to bring up our DMs would show up to everybody. So it was like, rather not do that. So I'm
it's just a lot of feet pics. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But no, I guess I want to save that for a little bit later, of the bigger ships coming into play, because that's actually been super cool when we get into like basic PvP. But can you explain in the most simple terms, to consider me a kindergartner when it comes to PvP? I'm probably not a kindergartner, but I'm understanding the concepts. I think I still am. I'm pretty dumb when it comes to that stuff. What changed in this most recent patch? Because when I go to SP Viewer, what I see is the Arrow, the Gladius, and ships that were kind of there on that like light fighter. These are the meta light fighter ships that you would use. It looked like all of their maneuverability was lowered a tiny bit, and then to like fit the Wolf in. And we'll talk more about the Wolf in a bit. Am I understanding that correctly, or what happened there?
Way off.
Okay, perfect. Let me know.
So what they did was they adjusted a lot of the ship's jerk profiles. They adjusted some G-forces on a bunch of different ships. So they did all these accelerational changes, all these different kind of feeling-based changes to a bunch of the cast, which I think a lot of it had to do with fixing bugs. Like, for example, the Arrow in the previous build had a bug with its nose control. So sometimes during a fight, your nose would just become so unwieldy. Like, it's almost like it became a heavy fighter for a second. Like, the nose would not respond to your inputs very well. It's almost like it got stuck in the mud. And that alone made the Arrow essentially unviable in PvP, because in PvP with master modes, most of combat is dictated based off how well your ship can aim. It's less to do with like energy control and merging like in previous models, but it's much more to do with like keeping the target in front of you and just making sure you track smoother and faster than the enemy does. Now, that's why typically all PvP uses repeater weapons, because the higher velocity means you get more applied damage, easier to hit, less deflection. So it just becomes this really, really high intense aim duel, which for some people, they love that. For me, I'm not a huge fan. We've gone over that, but we can talk about that later. But the ship that can aim the smoothest and the fastest and be the most responsive is typically the one that's going to win those kinds of duel fights, right? And then if you do the flip side and you go into team fighting, it's less to do with that, and it's more to do with how fast the ship can enter and exit a zone in which it can get hit. So this is why we see interceptors being super dominant in team fights and terrible in duels,
Okay.
and stuff like arrows being super strong in duels and a lot of times really not doing that well in team fights because they can't stick and hold to a target. And by the time they turn around or do whatever, because there's all these moving pieces in the team fight, duel is quite simple. It's just nose to nose, right? But
Okay, there we go.
to answer your question as simply as possible, they fixed a bunch of bugs with the ships. They changed their philosophy with how they're pushing the ships in different categories. And it resulted in an identical system with just different ships in different spots.
So what would that philosophy be? So the interceptor is still in a straight line, right? And that's why it won't work well in duels because you can't maneuver. The Gladius is better. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to fish the answers out of you, but those answers may not exist either. So I'm trying to hear, I guess.
Let me try to give you an analogy to Eve and World of Warcraft that maybe help here, because a lot of times these concepts get lost. Because with flight games, for better or worse, flight games are typically the highest on the skill ceiling for any kind of game you're going to play, right? Flight is typically one of the most difficult things to get in. It has all the barriers, there's control barriers, there's learning barriers, there's concept barriers, there's so many knowledge barriers. But ultimately, flight games have longer lifespans, I think, because the communities play them for much longer. Not all games, but typically flight games have such a really strong player base, right? So the concept that we have now hasn't changed since Master Race came out. The ships have changed some of their tunings and have some bug fixes to make them feel better. This is all that has happened. It's just those small changes for bug fixing. And for example, the arrow's nose has been fixed, and that's why it's become so strong in the duel, because it's essentially a scalpel. Like, you can track people like a first-person shooter with the arrow. It just doesn't miss, right? And it has slightly higher Gs now, so they adjusted some things to make the arrow more competitive against the Gladius and vice versa. And what we end up having is, it seems, and I mean this, it seems like CIG is creating an MMO archetype type system, as compared to the old system, which was much more of every ship could kind of do everything. It was much more of a sim flight based system, right? That's why there's a big split within the PvP community itself. A lot of people are very polarized as to, because it is literally a completely different game, right? Fighters are their own category. Heavy fighters are their own category. And it's like, if you play World of Warcraft, you have the tank, you have the assassin, you have the, whatever, all these different roles. But the problem is, those work for that style of game. And EVE Online, an example here.
I'm just you have a frigate. Really getting into PvP and EVE Online, so I'll actually understand this.
So if you bring a frigate fleet, what can you kill? If you bring 100 frigates, what can you kill?
Maybe other frigates, and then what? The one level up, maybe destroyers or something, or cruisers.
So if you bring a frigate fleet, you can kill anything frigate size, or you can kill stuff that's really, really, really big, right? So you can kill Titans, you can kill bigger stuff, because you just can't
I never knew that. Okay, cool.
However, anything that's medium size, there's no chance. Like, you bring a fleet of Hurricanes, or you bring a fleet of battle cruisers or whatever, and they're against the frigates are going to get absolutely smoked, right? So you have this almost like a triangle where it's like, this ship can kill this ship, can kill this ship, and vice versa, right?
But we're not successfully doing this in Star Citizen yet.
This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so like fighters can kill this, but unfortunately what they've done is light fighters essentially kill everything. And the only thing they really struggle with is fighters of their own class, just with a different archetype. So for example, Buccaneers, Interceptors, they're really strong in team fights, but essentially they're still small fighters. Like, that's, just because you have a different archetype between Interceptors and fighters, to me, that doesn't make a distinction. The class of fighters in general are just so dominant that there's nothing else. Like, you bring a bunch of you could bring 20 Connies or 20 Gladius. The 20 Gladius will kill the 20 Connies all day.
For sure, yeah.
Like, you might kill 2 or 3 Gladiuses if they're not paying attention, but on average, that's always going to be a wrap, right? But they seem to be balancing, which is what frustrates me the most. They seem to be balancing off of numbers that they get from the general numbers of like the persistent units, for example. They look at all the numbers of how many F8 Lightnings are winning and losing, blah blah blah, and then
Oh yeah,
they
yeah,
make
yeah.
adjustments and they look at, you know, and to me that's just a really bad way of doing it, because you're going to get really skewed numbers, because
Yep.
so much of Star Citizen's player base is unskilled or untrained. So you're going to get really wacky numbers. Like you're going to get really extremes on one end, like the Avenger ones, and then you're going to get really extremes on the other end, where you have thousands of people getting smoked by F8 Lightnings because they just have no idea how to fly. And so they're like, oh my God, the F8 Lightning is doing so well.
Yeah, it's like,
but there's
it's
this
a giant pancake.
there's this archetypical system they've gone to where they're trying to make it like an MMO, where certain ship groups are good against other certain ship groups, like heavy fighters are good against that. But the problem is, I have not seen any group of ship that heavy fighters are really great against, other than the medium-sized ships like Connie's and whatnot.
We're still in this weird place where, like, this is the next question. I'll let you finish, but the next question I'm going to ask is definitely related to this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So basically, they're struggling to make an identity for themselves. They're not really sure, because they have a sim-ish game, but then they're trying to put ships into these roles, these archetypes, like classes in an MMO, and it just doesn't. Like take Battlefield, for example, right? You have the 4 classes, right? And then there's the classless whatever thing where you can use whatever kit and then whatever gun you want with it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, typically people are just going to pick the best weapon, and so like running support with the marksman rifle DMR is crazy good, because you've got all the benefits of the marksman kit, but then you've also got paddles to bring people up and all that stuff. And I think that's why they're testing that, to see if people like that more. I prefer the class-based weapon system, where, you know, if you pick this class, you've only got a certain kind of weapons you can pick, whatever, right? But that's an example of like Star Citizen's in that phase where you can pick whatever kit you want and just bring whatever weapon you want.
Yep.
And then it all filters down to, like, if one gun is overpowered, everyone just uses that gun. Well, guess what? The gun in Star Citizen that's overpowered are fighters, small fighters. And that doesn't mean they're light fighters. That could mean snubs. That could mean all these different other things, right? You'll notice that the only physically large ship, and it's not even that big, is the Scorpius in A tier. And the only reason for that is because the Scorpius has...
Oh, no, there it is.
This is team fight, right? And the only reason the Scorpius is in a team fight position in A tier is because it can go 600 meters per second. It can actually get out of a danger zone, come around with that big size 2 shield. Like, it can protect itself. It can dish out 8 size 3 shots. Like, it's just ridiculous. It can move. Like, that thing can go. It's 24 Gs, I think, or something. It's like something 23 or 24 Gs. Like, it's more than a fighter. And in my opinion, that makes a lot of sense, because you've sacrificed your ability to duel with this ability to be able to dive in, engage, and then leave combat and come back around and basically fly it like you would a typical dogfighter, like you would playing DCS and whatnot. You coming in, bringing energy into the fight, engaging, and then leaving with the energy you have left, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. There's just a statement in chat that I'm going to go ahead and point out and disagree with pretty heavily here. Is somebody saying PvP is a niche thing and most people don't care about it. I mean, yes, well, that probably is true. That doesn't really matter for the conversation, is because the balancing being made is, like, look at the title. It's 4.3, the state of light fighters. No PvP is mentioned in the title. Like, these things could be relevant still as well with what you use and what you choose for PvE engagements. We're going to talk from the PvP standpoint. And the thing is, almost every ship on this screen can be used for your PvE experiences in the current game. So what's the point of even having a conversation about that anyway? The depth and the interesting part of these ships end up being in the PvP part. So the conversations for me are much more interesting, and I think for a lot of other people as well. So if you're not interested, then maybe this episode's not the one for you. But at the same time, I'm sorry, PvE is incredibly uninteresting. There's no depth to it. Yeah, well, obviously there's no depth to this either, which is why we're discussing it. Is unfortunately, like, Gladius Arrow is, why would you use, what's the point of even having A, B, C, and D tier when those are fairly easy to get in the game, right? And you would just use them if they're that good. But yeah, that's kind of...
So
why I wanted to have these conversations. Did things change? How much did they change? So on and so forth. What I have to appreciate, though, from the first time that we talked, like earlier this year to now, the fact that there is a duel list and a team fight list is a change in the last like year or so, that we're actually having these kind of conversations, because we have team fights now in the PU a lot. And that's cool. I gotta say, like, it's happening a lot more now, and I love to see it.
So I will say this, because to touch on the PvP thing, there seems to be, like, we can talk about that later, because I wanted to talk to you about what I call the culture war right now, with what's going on with this idea that, oh, this PvP is this dead thing and blah blah blah. I mean, I fundamentally disagree with that in such an extreme way. I mean, if you look at all the most popular games that have come out, they're all PvP games. They have PvP in them. You have Red Dead Redemption has a big PvP scene in the online setting. You have Grand Theft Auto, which is pretty much all PvP with role playing and goofiness. All these big multiplayer games you don't have to have a game that's just PvP, and
No.
that's not what Star Citizen is, and that's not what we're arguing. But PvP makes up a big part of the game, the culture, the community, the content. To not have PvP in your game and to say it's niche is just putting your head in the sand like an ostrich and not paying attention to what's actually going on around you, right?
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
if you build, like, here's the thing too, like, if you build it, they will come. If Star Citizen starts to get its, stuff together, and OLPs start becoming more of a reason to want to go and collect people, if there's more of a reason to base build and to defend those bases and vice versa, you're going to see a fundamental shift in Star Citizen, where the majority of people will actually participate in this kind of PvP realm of the game, than as opposed to against it, right? Just
Yep.
because PvP is in still its infantile state, in a sense that PvP is still growing, it's still fighting for its place within the culture, because let's be honest, it's mostly on CIG to foster and design and build that. Once the game starts to finalize, though, I think you're going to see a huge, massive shift towards PvP, and I think that's going to be super healthy for the game.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a lot of people are wrong saying that this game is PvE. Like, you're so far off the mark, it's not even funny.
Like, I've had this conversation with Avenger and many other members of the PvP community. There's this big problem that we have right now is where there's not a whole lot to fight over. Hathor was a bit interesting for a little while. There's not a whole lot to fight over, so it's impossible to kind of tell who wins. Especially like when you die, you could just come back, and all these other situations that are weird. So when it comes to like PvP flight, we had a little bit in Jumptown for a little while of like who took over Jumptown for that period of time. You have Hathor, who takes over Hathor, but again, it's like a very short King of the Hill kind of thing. And like Avenger's saying, like, when more of these systems come online in Star Citizen and there's actually something to fight over, not only is CIG going to be more, I guess the word would be required to focus on PvP as a thing that they need to balance, focus, care about. It's a thing that players are going to care about and stuff like that too. Can we go back a tiny bit to have like a little hypothetical question here? As somebody who's been playing EVE Online a lot, you mentioned something.
You like it, eh?
I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, it's just so good in comparison to this, I guess, right now. It's a good it's a good replacement for the things that I don't like in SC. But
oh yeah,
something that you mentioned that like a light bulb just went off in my head, and I never thought of this before, but through that lens of EVE Online, what do you want to see? They're going in this direction where they're making it very MMO-like. That train is not going to stop, it doesn't look like. So if they continue to go on in that direction, regardless if you like it or not, what would you like to see? Now, I'm going to give an example of something that light bulb is something like the Gladius versus what else on this list? I think a great example would be the Wolf. Gladius versus the Wolf. A lot of people are kind of, and then we can get into the Wolf conversation after that. A lot of people are like, oh, the Wolf is cool, but bespoke weapons. I hate bespoke weapons. I hate bespoke weapons. I hate bespoke weapons. I'm kind of one of those people. But with EVE going, you get a bonus to this weapon type. the weapons aren't bespoke, but they are almost required that you would use a certain weapon type with a certain ship, because why wouldn't you? It gives you a bonus, and it makes those weapons really, really good on these ships. So what do you think about doing something like that, where the Wolf would get a bonus to its ballistics, which essentially it's getting a lot more ammo count and a lot more damage and a lot more bullet velocity than any of the other ones, I think. And maybe the Gladius would get a bonus to lasers, and then those things have different damage types. That's, if they're going to go the MMO way, that's what I think could help give more variety to the ships that we're using in the game. What do you think, or what would you want to see if they're going to keep going in this direction?
So a couple things you brought up. The Wolf has 1650 top speed on its weapons, which is the same as every other ballistic.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
The ammo count is not that far off from other ballistics. We're still you're thinking back the old ballistics with such limited pools.
I've never used them. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ballistics now actually do have quite a few thousand rounds. Like, you can get about 10 or 15 kills before you really need to reload. The only reason people aren't using ballistics now is because ballistics do less damage and they have a longer time to kill than a laser build. So if you use a laser arrow or a full ballistic arrow and you're fighting 1v1, the full laser arrow is going to kill you every time because he just has to hit you less to kill you. So that being said, it doesn't matter if you have penetration. It's all great, but if you die faster than the other guy, that's all that matters, right? So what if you're Red Hull or whatever? I mean, you won the fight. You've eliminated the threat.
Yeah.
And you might think, oh, well, team fights. But again, we talked about velocities. If your weapons are at 1650 and I'm shooting at 1800,
why wouldn't you shoot at 1800?
I'm not only going to hit you. I'm not only going to hit you more, but I'm also going to kill you in less time. So like the time to kill is essentially twice that, right? So the whole calculation for ballistics is just way off. And I'm not sure CIG knows what they want to do. And a lot of people say like, well, armor's going to fix it.
I was going to bring that up.
Going to fix it. People don't realize this, but armor is already implemented in the game in a rudimentary fashion. Your ship has a bonus. We were talking about bonuses.
Yeah.
50% to ballistics. So if you have a Gladius and you get hit by ballistics, let's say you get hit by 100 damage points of ballistics, only 50% of that is actually going to damage your ship. The other 50% will be blocked by quote unquote armor, right? And that never used to be in the game, but it came out a couple of years ago. They put this kind of rudimentary bonus system in. So what CIG is trying to do is I think they're trying to get a feel for how long it should typically take to kill somebody with ballistics. So they're already shooting for that time, right? And I said this, before as well, but I think I got to reiterate this because people don't seem to understand it. Is it doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter how complicated your mechanics are and how advanced they are or how deep they go. All that matters is when I pull my trigger, how long does it take before you're dead? You can have the most advanced simulation system in the world. You can model every single bullet and every single ricochet and every single component in your ship.
I win, you lose.
But if you die in 2 seconds and you put or you do the opposite and you have this really basic system that's like a bonus system that's just 50% of your damage gets blocked no matter what, and you still have a 2-second time to kill. So all that matters then is 2-second time to kill.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, like this whole idea of armor is going to fix it. Like they're all way out to lunch, and it's going to come out. It's going to do exactly what it said they're going to do. It's not going to change anything. And the small ships that are able to control range and control the fight are going to just beat you up from long range. And if you think, well,
I hope not. If they do different armor sizes, then they can. Like, here's where I think they screwed up a little bit is if they did different armor sizes and like a medium ship has a medium armor and a large ship has a large armor and a small ship has a small armor, then you can go, okay, well, the ships that are on the weapons, that are on light fighters will have reduced damage against the medium and heavy or something. But the way we're seeing them make ships now with the the new Mantis, what the hell is that called? It's not a Mantis. The Mantis DS, that's what I call it.
The Meteor.
The Meteor, yeah. Like there's huge guns on these ships to where they'll just mitigate that idea of armor in the first place. If that was the idea that they had. So I'm confused as well.
So here's here's something that is going to make you wake up tonight and be angry about, because I know you love this stuff.
I woke up angry every day. What's the difference?
Imagine, like,
Tuesday.
First of all, number one, my biggest gripe about the meteor is, first of all, it should never have existed in the first place. That's
100%.
number one. Number two,
so stupid.
Number two, like the concept of the whole ship is flawed from the beginning. You don't pick a ship like that that's large and awkward looking and
But Avenger, it has a weapons locker.
Hold on. Yeah, I know.
You could be John Wick.
They had a choice to. Here's the thing. Instead of a like heavy attack fighter, which again, no reason why you should have that. Instead of a heavy attack fighter, they could have made a Mantis variant that instead of a QED, you had a capital distortion ship. Like, why don't we have bespoke distortion size 5s on that thing? Why don't we have a giant EMP at the back of it, which is cool EMP effect? It's like, and it's designed to basically EMP these larger capital ships because, as you saw recently in the video I put out, we're able to fight capital fleets of, 8, 9, 10 double-digit capitals.
Hell yeah!
With just two of our ships, because we're taking the shields down, we're disabling them one at a time. Distortion works and it's a lot of fun. To have a dedicated capital disabling ship would be super, super cool. The fact that they had the most awesome ship for that role, like the Mantis literally looks like an electronic warfare platform. Like it looks like something that could do that. But instead they put guns on it and they try to sell it and pass it off as this like high skill PvP ship. And I just wanted to throw my monitor out the window. It just made me so frustrated. I don't know who on their marketing department's like, that's what we need next. But gosh, man, like sometimes I really do wonder, like, what I want to just be a fly on the wall in their team and just be like, guys, don't do that. Make it an EMP boat, make it a capital warfare disabling ship. And then instead, if you want to make your heavy attack fighter with big size whatever weapons, there's so many other platforms that you can make variants on to do that. But I mean, what can you do, right? Like it's done now. It's out. It's going to be an awkward ship for the next 10 years until it finds its place. So just have fun with it.
So in the end, some of these ship choices are just going to be ships that you don't use, and I think that'll just be one of them.
Yeah,
and that'll be that.
We're in a system now where the majority of ships won't be used.
Here's the best thing about the Meteor. Is it's not a brand new ship with all new art and a ton of wasted backer money. They slapped a couple guns on a ship they already made, put a weapons locker in there, and done. So at least they didn't waste too much of our money. Is the most positive way to look at that ship. All right, I got 2 questions for you. Alien ships. 2 major changes to 2 alien ships on this list. They're both in B tier and team fight. I wonder if the Blade would have stayed in B tier if they didn't adjust it a little bit in the PTU. Blade, they put a ton of capacitor on for a little while there. And the Talon seemingly got a bit more agile and more stealthy. So from the dummy perspective, I was thinking the Talon would maybe be in A tier in team fights because you'll probably pop in and out of radar a lot. It's got some pretty good size guns, but not a lot of them, and maybe they fly a little bit slow, so maybe it's an accuracy thing. Why do you have the Blade and the Talon in B tier? I think I know why the Blade, but Talon is the one that confuses me a little bit.
So 2 reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, so we'll start with the Blade.
Okay.
So the Blade is a very competent platform. Great platform.
I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Platform.
That's why I ask it.
Not humans made, but it's great. Tremendous platform. Only the best. But the Blade
Please don't do that. They're going to start freaking out.
The Blade suffers from 2 problems. One, its top speed is less than the ones above it.
Okay.
Right? So that's number one.
Yep.
Because again, it's all relative, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's less speed than the Gladius, the Arrow, the M50, the Razor, the Buccaneer, blah blah blah. The Scorpius outruns it. The Fury outruns it. Archimedes, everything above it gets outrun by. The only thing gets close.
Where is it in duel? You put it in 10 and A in duel. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a good duelist because its weapons are really strong, but it suffers a bit more in the team fights because it is slower than everything else around it, and its nose hit points is very low as well. So something like the Wolf is really the only one that comes close to its speed envelope, but even the Wolf is still a little faster. and the wolf has full ballistics. So you can actually get up on the blade and just drop a bunch of ballistics on it and it's dead. So the blade suffers from just having low hit points on the nose, which, I mean, that's fine. It's okay to have a weakness. Like every ship has to have a weakness in a sense, you know, but the being slower than all the ships in A and S tier, being less hit points than all the ships in A and S tier, we have found that in team fights, it suffers. And typically it's, again, you could be a great pilot and still win in a B tier ship, right? I want to preface everyone. The idea here conceptually is that when you have a full potential pilot, so you have a guy who's maxed out the skill and he's flying a Gladius and the other guy's flying a Blade and it's 10v10 or it's 3v3 or whatever, it's a team fight in the universe. On average, the ships in A and S tier are going to win more than they're going to lose against the other ships. It doesn't mean that you can't get kills in all these other ships. I've done it. Of course. Right? A lot of people say like it's this hard thing, like this ship will beat that ship no matter what. There is an element of skill, and
we're not in that MMO phase yet. We're
getting there.
Yeah, well, that exists yet, but it could happen. Yeah,
and that terrifies me the most. We'll talk about that later, right? Because skill for me, like in my opinion, there shouldn't be a tier list. Like all fighters should have a potential for them to exist in high or low envelopes, in a sense that, and when I say envelopes, like high and low energy states, be able to maintain velocity, momentum, that kind of stuff. Like the differences between ships should be very tiny on a lot of these ships, but the personality of the ships and the certain capabilities and the weapon systems they bring, that should really define them rather than, so for example, I think Star Citizen should implement a resistance-based system for shields and other stuff. So for example, a like blade brings a lot of lot of thermal and electromagnetic energy. It brings no kinetic, right? Because it's using a plasma bolt. So shields typically block a lot of thermal and EM energy. So Vandal ships have a trouble breaking down shields, but against armor, their smaller weapons are basically super effective against the armor, right?
Yep.
So these kinds of things should make you choose what ships you want to bring rather than, well, I can't bring this ship because I just can't turn rate with them. I literally physically don't have the capability. You know what I mean? And I think that's really, or like, for example, how you define ships and how they feel should be based off their ESP and their jerk profile. So how well the ship's nose can correct for movements. But again, the differences of ships have to be tighter. Again, this is a concept. You talked about the question before, how would you want it to be done?
Yeah.
How I want it to be done is like this, is less this class-based archetypical system. And instead you put all fighters, and I mean all fighters, into the class essentially. And then within that class, you have all these different personalities, different weapons, different stuff, different opportunities to bring weapons to the field. However, a Buccaneer should still be able to duel a blade. And there shouldn't be such a massive separation between these two ships where neither, like a blade and a Buccaneer fighting in a duel, there's no question the blade will win every single time, even with a low skill pilot versus a high skill pilot. And that's what bugs me a lot.
Because you're speaking from flight specifically when you say that.
Correct.
But the example that you give, if they choose these resistance or damage profiles for the ship. So again, just to be very clear, the blade, in EVE Online, there's electromagnetic resistance, ballistic or physical resistance, explosive, and thermal. Those are the 4 types. And they kind of balance they balance the game up for each. Kinetic would be ballistic, is the one that I messed up.
Yeah, explosive, kinetic, EM, thermal.
Yeah, but in your example, there could be a scenario where the blade can never beat the buck, or the buck can never beat the blade if those profiles counter each other. So if the blade is really badass at thermal damage and the Buccaneer does not have a lot of thermal resistance, if you didn't put a thermal shield on or something to boost your thermal enough, you're going to lose every time, so long as those pilots have some decent aim or whatever, right? So am I understanding that part correctly? Is that the cat and mouse or rock, paper, scissors would just be in a different place? So you allow ships to still be super enjoyable, have fun in terms of their flight, but the counters would be more on the component side or the weapon side, or just the base stats of the ship, and then we can adjust them with crafting or whatever.
So let me get Yeah, so let me physically draw it out for you. Like if you put my little paint.net thing up on screen here, I'll draw it out for you because it's hard to
I can't.
I can
I
explain
can't.
it, and
I don't know how to do that.
I'm streaming it on Discord. Is there any way to bring that up?
How?
Like instead
Oh,
of my camera, you should see
oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
paint.net
Hold on. Yes, I could do that.
because I'm streaming the application, so you should be able to see
Yeah,
it.
I just got to move your. I'll make you smaller. You're gonna go in the corner.
First story. Don't
There you are.
start with freaking pirate o'clock, guys.
There you go.
Okay, guys, I worked at Blizzard.
Totally.
I was a Blizzard guy for 7 years.
My dad.
I know exactly what I'm talking about.
I am the first second generation Star Citizen developer.
Okay. Okay, it's working. Awesome, that's working. Okay, so let me just draw it out. Right now, like I said before, right? You have these zones, right? And so you have light fighters, you have interceptors, you have heavy fighters, and they're all existing within these zones, right?
Sure. Yep.
Light fighters will kill heavy fighters. Interceptors will kill light fighters, but interceptors also kill heavy fighters. So everything kills heavy fighters, right? And a lot of these ships get put into all these different categories and blah blah blah, right? And they're separated. The separation between these is all based off of flight characteristics, right? So heavy fighters only exist within a certain zone of control, right? They only have so much top speed. They only have so much acceleration. Whereas
Is
light
this
fighters,
current?
this is current, right? This
Okay,
is what we
okay.
have right now, right? Because the light fighter has a larger zone to play with, it just beats up on everything with a smaller zone. And because its weapons are effective against anything in the game at the moment, it can just freely engage any target in the universe, including large capital ships, because let's be honest, they're easy to hit, right? My issue, where I want them to move to, is similar to the older system we had to some degree, where there isn't this. There isn't this. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm not trolling, I swear. Okay, so instead you have, my goodness, dude, it's too early for this shit. Instead, you have this, which is your zone to move, right? So heavy fighters, light fighters are not separated by such a massive flight ceiling. So your acceleration, let's say, is 20.2. Your top speed is 600 meters per second. A heavy fighter should exist almost up to the light fighter spot. So a heavy fighter should be typically going, 560, within a few kilometers, like meters per second. So the distances of the capabilities of the ship is not so vast, right? Instead, we have all this room to play in. We can dive, we can move, we can dive on each other. We can make all these different advanced movements.
Then what makes it heavy?
I'll explain here. So you want to separate ships based on capabilities, not based off flight characteristics. So for example, yes, a heavy fighter will still typically have slightly less turn rate, but then it has to have something else. So it's like it's the golden triangle. There's turn rate, there's acceleration, there's top speed. Okay, you can't have all three. If you have high acceleration and high top speed, you got low turn rate. You get interceptors, right? If you have high turn rate, high top speed, you have low acceleration, right? But right now, light fighters have all three, right? They suffer a little bit on the top speed one, but guess what? It doesn't matter because you can put a flight blade on there, and with decent piloting skills, you can mitigate most situations with the speed differentials if you're fighting interceptors to some degree, right? Like to me, heavy fighters have low acceleration, so they don't have that. They have low top speed and they have low turn rate. They literally have none of the three.
Yeah.
So light fighters have all three,
but they have lots of weapons.
Yeah, but
that
DPS
you can't aim with.
like, and that's the thing is like DPS is one of their calculations here. But guess what? That shouldn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like that's not something to DPS. All that stuff. No. They're conceptualizing DPS like a game like EVE Online, where it's like I bring X much DPS to the field, blah blah blah. But you got to get that DPS to the target, otherwise it's literally pointless, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of separating ships based off those metrics, which is your typical MMO system, you bring all the flight characteristics a little closer, and you have smaller separations between the flight characteristics, and then you start breaking ships apart based on capabilities. So for example, an F8 Lightning brings this to the table. So if it's a heavy fighter, for example, right? You've got high acceleration, high top speed, you've got that super low turn rate. So you basically turn the F8 into an interceptor. And then for weapons, you have a different metric. Instead of, for example, you can bring, size 5 torpedoes. And if you make the game that size 5 torpedoes are really the minimum you need for engaging larger vessels, well, now you have a capability. So this ship is able to basically engage larger ships out of its
kill
category.
Connies, things like that.
Can kill Connies, yeah. Like this idea
which
that
is what a heavy fighter,
fighters,
in my mind, always was supposed to be doing. Killing Connies, killing bombers, killing, I guess, up to, I don't know.
But
it doesn't feel like Polaris it should be killing, but yeah.
So let's say this little box here, this represents capital ships, right? And this little box here, this represents light fighters and like I don't know, whatever, like just small ships, right?
Dog fighters.
Here we have dog fighters, light fighters, and then we have like size 2 support ships, right? So this is your F8 Lightning. This is the zone in which it can compete and fly and do all these things, right? Again, I've chosen high top speed, high acceleration, low turn rate. Okay, so what that means is I can fly it like an interceptor, right? This is how I would tune the F8 Lightning, right? And because of that, I can now engage, because I chose the F8 Lightning, I can now engage my specific target, which is capital ships. That's what I'm there in the field to do. But while I'm existing in the battle space, this is how I'm able to engage. Because I still have high acceleration to top speed, I'm able to actually exist in the fighter screen. I'm actually able to exist engaging. Okay, I'm not going to be like the choice to kill light fighters. A gang of 10 F8 Lightnings and a gang of 10 Gladiuses, the F8s are going to struggle a little bit. But there is actually going to be a fight here, in a sense that the F8 will be able to out accelerate the Gladius and then be able to make an extension turn around. Because of right now, this idea that heavy fighters are quote unquote tanks is a terrible idea. Every ship should exist in a movement based system. And that means that all ships should have the ability to make extensions, which means create distance from each other and be able to merge and fly and hold their energy in, get gun runs and come out. Treat it like you would like a flight game. Otherwise, you're building a flight game with MMO mechanics that just doesn't fit, because you have to bring the speeds and accelerations and everything so low so that you basically get rid of the wild card of skill and it turns more into your typical EVE Online. Because let's be honest, when you play EVE, how much dodging fire really goes on? I mean, mostly it's 2 fleets that get up in front of each other. FC calls primaries. It's really this like...
I'm doing dual. I'm doing duels, so there's more than you would expect.
But typically, but you're doing that in frigates and small ships, right? Yeah. So there's a different mechanic there, but there's not a lot of like... The flight skill ceiling for EVE isn't really that high. It's mostly just setting distance and then seeing if your ship is capable of achieving those results.
Yeah, at the highest level, like I've been I've been training and stuff with people. Like manually piloting an EVE is pretty crazy, but the point you're making is obviously valid. But what you're doing in Star Citizen is way more tactile inputs and things like that.
Right. So heavy fighters attack. Again, right, this is like a big triangle here. Heavy fighters attack capitals, so make it so that their weapon systems and their heavy weapons, I'm not talking just the lasers they bring. I'm talking their secondary weapons, their missiles, their bombs, their specialty weapons that are only able to be fitted, and I want to say very clearly here, only able to be fitted on heavy weapon platforms. So make those heavy weapon platform systems only effective against the capital ships that they're trying to kill. Right?
Agreed.
So
agreed 100%.
Right? Because every fighter should exist in the fighter screen. Every fighter should exist in this space in some shape or form. Just like if you play a first-person shooter game, the sniper and the support and the assaulter, they're all shooting at each other. Obviously, some have different optimal ranges and whatnot, but a sniper can still kill you at point-blank range, can he not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like everyone's got a gun, everyone can point, everyone can shoot, right? But imagine playing a first-person shooter game where the one class you pick he can only walk forward. He can't walk to the left or right. How effective would that class be in a first-person shooter?
Horrible.
Right, and that's what they've done, is they've limited our movement and they've limited our ability to actually manipulate these ships properly like a flight game would, and they've gamified those basic foundational systems of flight and movement into different categories of ships. And it's not surprising that the ships with the least restrictions are the ones that are dominating everything. Because why would you ever pick a ship with restrictions that doesn't bring anything to the board, right? So you bring everyone into this little play zone, and that play zone, this play zone, this square that I'm showing here, represents top speed, acceleration, overall balance, and tuning, right? So in the previous model, we had 1200 meters per second, for example. So our box was really big. In master modes, our box is about this size.
But
right?
the previous model was not good for other players. It was good for you and the top guys.
Hold on. So I agree with this. So we, instead of bringing master modes as bubble, which is like a little tiny tic tac, we bring it back out to something about half the size, which is what I've argued before, around the 500-600 meter mark. And we start creating that space, right? We start tuning and building a good game where, again, you archetype ships based off these three things. If you have one, you can only have 2 to 3. You got to pick, you got to pick.
Sure.
So light fighters have high turn rate, high acceleration, but they have lower overall top speeds. Like, because right now the Gladius has 520, like the Arrow has 525. It has high turn rate, highest in the game, and it has high acceleration. It literally has all three. So to me, it's like it's a no-brainer that these light fighters are just running circles literally around everything in the game. And now I can put size 3 bombs on my Arrow, and I can be effective on larger vessels from air to ground targets as well. So I essentially have an F-16 now. I can do multi-role. I can do everything I need. There's no other fighter I would need than the Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could simplify the flight model down more and have it be accessible for more people. If like this is just an idea I have in my head. I know it's not a good idea, so just let's hear me out. I know it's not what this game should be or how it should work, but I don't know why it's just popping in my head and I can't get it out. Is the idea of again, I keep bringing up armor. Like that, I think this is why people think armor will fix it, is because you don't have to care if the heavy fighter is maneuverable. If because if a light fighter can't do enough damage to kill it fast enough, at least. So a heavy fighter can do its job flying in a straight line, not being able to maneuver that much, and do its damage to the capital, who also can't fly very fast or very maneuverable. And it can either have shots bounce off of it a little bit, or be able to, like for EVE Online, it would be like repairing yourself really quickly, or whatever, having bigger repairs that can out repair the damage that's coming in, and then you don't have to worry as much about flying, which I think would appeal to more people in Star Citizen than we would think. But I don't know. That's just not the way this game is at all. So while agreeing with you pretty much, it's like, I wonder if we need to make the skill ceiling of the flight model higher than it is now, or is it healthier now?
So the skill ceiling is actually very high, but in a very strange way. So I'll explain. So
yeah, like I was able to jump in with very little practice in that PvP tournament and not fail miserably, right?
And that's fine. Like you want a game that's easy to pick up but hard to master.
Are we going back on the board? No, I see what you're doing there.
Putting ears on myself. Sorry. But if how do I explain this? Yeah, we're going to go back to the board real quick. So just so that you're clear here, this is old flight model. This will be new flight model. This is the calculation that's going to be used for how to resolve a conflict, right? And what that means is, let's say Arrow versus Arrow, right? Part of that calculation is going to be based off of what weapons and systems you're using, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 20% is based off, do you have Panther repeaters and does he have attritions or whatever, right?
Yep.
20% is based off of what components he's got. Does he have a JS300? Does he have better shields, palisades, blah, blah, blah? Does he have meta weapons? All that stuff, right? And does he have the skill set required to maneuver his ship? And then the last part of it is, does he have the aim to actually get the shots on target, right? So in master modes, this one would be what weapons you pick, or sorry, not weapons, what components you pick. Sorry, this is the previous model. This would be like the calculation here, and this would be the flight skill,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So most of whether or not you win or lose a fight is based off of how well you can maneuver the ship, how well you can control it, and how easy you can get on target. That's the old flight model. In master modes, that calculation is literally flipped, where the majority of the calculation is based off of what ship you choose, and then the last part is mostly aim, right? And
Yeah.
so components and weapons choice do have a factor in it, but the majority is like, does he have the aim to get on target, and did he pick the right ship? That's about 80% of the calculation is just, does he have the right ship, and
Yep.
can he get on target?
Yeah.
And this is the frustrating part. There is a really high skill ceiling, but it went from a flight based skill ceiling to an aim based flight like skill ceiling. So you'll notice that when I fly small ships like the Arrow, people say like, wow, man, like you don't miss. It's like, well, that's how you win right now, because you're going to get hit no matter what happens, but I'm going to apply 100% of my damage and you're going to apply 40%. So I'm going to kill you every time, because
Yep.
I'm going to burn your health pool down faster than you can. And that to me, I think, is the idea that they went with, thinking that, well, easy, like it's going to be easier for people to hit, but they've created this weird space where like it's so reliant on aim that I feel like it's actually harder for new folks, because aim is so like difficult. Like the game actually plays faster now than it did in the previous build of the game, because in the previous build of the game, you actually had less like radical translations of movements in quick succession, because you build up more energy as you come around. So you'd actually be able to see the movements easier, because you'd actually be building more energy in those movements. But because we have such a small zone to play with, I move up here, I move up here, I move up here. I'm making these jagged small movements. I've made 8 or 9 different vector changes in a short time. So it's caused like this really eccentric, like two ships like standing almost like in the old days we had the two guys line up with the muskets and each team just shoots at each other. It's literally like that. Like you just get nose to nose and just, till someone gets the kill, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recognize what you're pointing out there too, is because you kind of see, um, like ships just kind of doing this, like they're like when I'm watching, like when I've watched like the PvP tournaments and stuff, it's a lot of like ships kind of not moving erratically, but moving in a way that doesn't seem natural. Um, I guess is what it seems like. They're kind of like they're like going like it's just weird. It doesn't look good, I guess. I don't know. And it will never translate to anybody watching it understanding what's going on, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna apologize. Sorry, guys. Like I'm trying to throw these out as assists. Like I'm still trying to explain it as we go. It may not make sense to everybody. I'm sorry if it doesn't. I'll try to draw better, but we are. And someone also brought this up, and I think this is very wrong. This idea, like this is pointless because we don't know what CIG is doing. Brothers, I'm telling you right now, we do know what CIG is doing. At least some of us do, and it's wrong. Like it's not going to be what they think it is. I'm going to tell you this now, and I told you this before. People think that if, for example, the armor system is going to solve everything, it won't. And we'll be back here having discussions. So either Sig can watch this and the guys that are actually, in charge can take this and this will make sense to them, or you can sit back and chill. But being negative and saying this is so pointless, this and that, like go touch grass, go get a fucking life, like relax. We're going to figure it out. But being negative and being super depressed about it is not going to help. So you got to figure that out.
That's my job. I'll be the negative one. But the
Negative.
yeah, I don't know. I still think armor has to play a role.
It does.
But
it has to be the breaking point between bringing a heavy fighter and bringing a light fighter. It has to be that inflection point. Because
I also think
if you have armor that's...
I want to see a world where, like, we're able to scroll between our weapons. I really want to see a world where we're using a certain weapon type to take shields down and rolling our mouse wheel or pressing a button on our stick and taking out armor. And, like, Like we have weapon groups. I would love to see a world where we like have weapon groups, or you're bringing ships that are like geared towards taking shields down on a capital, and then another ship group that's taking out the armor, and then the hull or whatever. Like I feel like that would be cool. That sucks so much in Elite Dangerous. Okay, yeah. I mean, as somebody who hasn't played Elite, it could be a horrible experience. It's all in my head in this moment, but we're just having. That's what we're doing right now. Star Citizen is in everyone's heads.
We used to have mixed weapon loadouts be pretty meta back in the day, and it felt okay. There are limitations to the mixed loadout, and I'll tell you this whole like having multiple velocities on weapons is just really not fun. Like
no, that's not fun at all. I agree.
Like, and I've said this before. Like
just damage types.
The idea of like I think the biggest issue right now with PvP combat is it's actually less on the flight model side. There are issues there for sure that need to get fixed, but the weapon concept that they've gone with, it just doesn't work. Like,
have they gone with one yet? Like, that's the thing is, have they even gone with one? We have a little bit of variety in the laser repeaters, but everything else, like, you just don't use, right? Like,
there's only 2 weapons in the game that are effective.
Well, 3
There's
maybe,
Panthers,
right? Attritions, Panthers, and NDBs. Do we not use attritions anymore? PvE maybe.
I mean, attritions are only effective on large capital platforms. That's it. That's the only place they're effective. Anything like any fighter combat, light, medium, heavy, whatever, you bring attritions to the field, you will die every time, right?
Okay.
In PvP, I'm not talking about PvE.
Yep,
in PvE, you can use them all day because the NPCs are brain dead and they can't dodge for shit. So that's fine, right? But for PvP, it's all Panthers, repeaters, whatever, and NDBs, but only NDBs on interceptor platforms, because you actually have the acceleration to get close, get the gunshot, and leave. So you actually get the benefit of the high damage, and you have just enough velocity that you can actually hit the target. So, you know, it's just here's the thing, like weapons, like light fighters, for example, are strictly effective because they can hit you and you can't hit them back, because they can stay at a range where your velocity can't reach them in time before they've already moved from that shot position.
Yep.
And that will never get fixed. That's a physics problem, right? Like, the only way to fix that problem is to change the weapon velocities based on the platform that you're shooting from. So for example, if you're in an Idris, you need to either have higher velocity, which pushes the combat farther out, which makes the fights less close, or you just drop the weapon range on light fighters and fighters in general. Like I've said this a million times, like fighters should have no more range than 1,000 meters.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Or, so 1,500, because like you need a little bit of plus minus. So 1,500 is like, there's no reason to go above that.
No.
Like you can't even like see your target at 2,500 meters, but you can shoot off a PIP system. And I'm telling you, like if they didn't have a PIP system, you'd barely be shooting at the ranges that we typically fire at, but you're mostly firing beyond visual range. Like you're BVR gunfighting. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I see that for sure. All right, let's change the subject a slight bit, because we just talked about them. Capitals. Since the last time we talked, which was a while ago, capital fights are happening left and right. I think Hathor really started it. And then obviously the introduction of the Idris. Have you been getting involved in them? What do you think about them? Talk to me. I'm just hearing about these left and right from all sorts of people who like PvP, and they seem to be pretty happy with them. Obviously, things have to be fixed. Obviously we saw the Cutlet video of like people being able to choose and just repair their ships. Let's ignore that. We know that exists. Those are things that CIG would have to fix. Those are exploits. You should probably get banned if you're doing that stuff right now, honestly.
Yeah. It's
ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But those things aside, how do they feel? They're happening more. I mean, I remember you doing the pirating and loving that. This is kind of like the next level of that in a sort of way. Big fights involving lots more people, bigger ships. Tell me what you think.
So, like I said, I just made a video on the capital stuff, and that was probably one of the best group gang capital fights that we've had so far, and we only crashed once. Slash, like had a server or whatever reset, and it was typically by the end of the battle, so it was mostly kind of resolved anyway. So I was very impressed. Now that's also because we were at the OLPs, so maybe with the extra server at the OLPs. So I'm going to say this to everybody: if you're going to do a capital fight, try to drag it to an OLP because the server will be a lot more stable for you, so you'll have less issues.
That's good to know.
Just something to consider. Am I happy with capital fights?
Within reason,
two things going on.
No one's going to be happy. The game's in alpha, obviously. There's nothing to be happy.
Here, right? It's like, okay, am I happy with the concept
or the current state
Not
of
really.
them? Like, are you having fun with them now?
Is it fun? Yes, 100%. But that's also because it's new. It's new, right? It's going to get old real fast. Like there's some real development needs to get done, but I'm not going to stand on a totem here and say, oh my God, like I know where CIG's at. I know what's going on with the game. We all know that. That's fine. For where it's at right now, I'm having fun with it. We're having fun with it. And that's good, right? It gets people involved. But there has to be a real push, and I mean a real push, to get engineering with us soon, because without engineering, you're getting these solo capitals just running around, and it's just really frustrating because that solo
obviously is cringe.
Shouldn't, it's so cringe, man. Like I want to see fully crewed Idrises of 10 plus people. I want to see them launching fighters off their deck. I want to see groups coming in. Like I want to see orgs forming and putting these ships out, and seeing an Idris by itself should be exciting, like, but now it's like they're everywhere. They're like almost like rats in New York City. Like they're just everywhere. You're like, oh my God, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like you just don't want to deal with them. You just try to avoid them, so yes, capital fights are happening. Yes, they are a lot of fun. They need a lot of work, but it's essentially fighters. Like I can still rate limit people. I can still do a lot. Like it's the same movement system that a Gladius uses. There's no difference in a capital ship.
They're slower.
Gladius. You can fly Gladius, you can fly an Idris. Like it's the same, it's the same thing, right? So hopefully with engineering, I mean, I guess with flight, like that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I would prefer to have a capital control system where the captain could go to the holo viewer and he'd be able to zoom out like EVE Online and be able to play from third person with all these HUD tips. And you'd be doing that based off of a system on the bridge, and if they take out your sensor systems and it just messes with your view. And, I think that would be a really cool thing to have is, and being able to mark targets for your wing and be able to select things and like all these kinds of command and control / overlay stuff that you could do.
I want it Star Warsy, where like the shield component is actually on the exterior of the Idris. So once the shields are down, like once you take the shields down, or maybe not the shield, maybe not the power plant, or like something like that, where the thing, like you can do, like right now the PDCs are so tiny you can't shoot them. The turrets are kind of hard to hit from in a capital fight, right? Or fuel tank, something where it's a very obvious thing to hit. You take the shields down and you start to disable the ship. Like the conversation they had about what they want to do with capital ships, all that sounded like Squadron 42 to me, but it also sounds like something that could work in SC. That would be cool. I mean, we do shoot the engines off these ships, right? So something more like that.
There is a lot of sub-targeting that goes on now. And I do agree, like it would be cool to have something exterior that you could blow off and have it affect. So like engines, but getting like the Star Destroyer balls, like I don't think that's gonna happen. It would have to be too forced, right?
Yeah, I think it's fine though, as long as it's not the shield. It makes no sense to shoot off the shield emitter and have the shield still be up. It's a weird concept I always thought from Star Wars. They blew up the shield emitter. How did they get to the shield emitter in the first place? The shields are up. Am I crazy?
This is what I like about the idea. So in Star Wars, you could actually fly. So Star Wars doesn't have shields; they have deflectors, which is different, right? So you got to understand the lore behind the weapon systems. Like you can take an A-wing and just fly and fly directly up to the shield, quote unquote, deflector generator and take it out, right? And because you're so close, like you're inside that, I can't remember what the effect was called, but it's basically there is a minimum range to the Star Destroyer. The reason that they're put on the exterior is because the exterior, like if you're inside, you wouldn't have the same effect in Star Wars science or whatever, right? But anyway, the point is there are rules to the Star Wars universe as to why things are the way they are. In Star Citizen, it doesn't have those rules. So to put them on the exterior would just be a design flaw. However, the way they have it now makes a lot of sense, because if they're internal components and you have armor, the only way to get to those components is through the armor. So you
through
either
the
need a
shields,
high
then through the armor. Yeah.
Right. So you either need a high penetration weapon system that can punch through the armor and do direct damage to that subsystem, which then affects the fight, or you spend a long time burning through that part of armor to get to that piece, right? Or you just board them.
Yes. I hope that becomes more of a thing.
Yeah, I've said this before. Like boarding is some of the most exciting gameplay. You know, this idea that, is it the Legionnaire? I think it's called.
Yeah. Yep.
The boarding ship.
Yep.
Like
the mosquito
we need a ship that can. Yeah, we need a ship that can latch onto an enemy ship, either after they're disabled or maybe when their shields are down, or even during a fight. Like if you can actually get through the weapon. Like again, another reason to keep a multi-crew ship active is if something tries to get onto you and suction cup to you and drop boarding parties. If you have turret gunners, you just be able to shoot them off. But if you're just by yourself, like we got to get away from, like I said, this like solo, guy sitting in his Idris. That's just so lame, And
it
and
really
also
is.
we have to get to a place, man, where insurance and duping and all this like stuff, like where things actually cost money. Because
Tell me
I
about
get that
it.
the Idris
I fight
is out
this
and
fight every day, dude. Because like EVE Online, man, you die all the time. But because it's so easy to just like get going again, like all right, I just multi-buy everything and just go again. And like everything you're doing, you're able to
load up in 10.
Exactly, like you're able to make money relatively easy in the game. Like the money is not as important, and like the money in Star Citizen isn't important at all. So if it was a whole thing where it was just like I click a couple buttons and I'm going again, I'm telling you, man, the hangar respawning right now is a good start. If we have a medical bed when we die and we respawn in our hangars, and then it's click and go, and like I literally, okay, so for example, I lose my arrow, gone, not claiming, none of that. I lose it. It's gone. But I position myself at a place like Jita and EVE Online, or like some of these other player trade hubs that are all around, and I just click a button and I get my entire loadout from my arrow back in 2 seconds. I pay for it. It's the same thing as claiming, literally the same concept, but somebody had to create that item. You have to pay for it. You actually have an economy. It's the same concept. I don't know how anyone can argue this. They just don't want to lose things because they're little babies. But they because that's my ship. Okay, it'll come back. It'll be named the same thing. It'll have all the things that you want in it. It doesn't matter. It is the same concept, but it doesn't have the negative effect that this dumb-ass insurance does to players who don't want to interact with those systems, the players who want to mine, who want to salvage, who want to cargo haul. But this has nothing to do with this. So sorry for that rant, but I cannot.
EVE has an insurance system.
Yeah, you get money, and you use a little bit of that money because it doesn't. I think it just pays for the hull or something. I definitely don't get back the full cost of what I spent. Like a ship that's like 30 million, I'll get like $1 million or $2 million back. It's not that much. Yeah. Maybe 10.
I think what they should do is like a very simple way to solve this problem. And I've said this before, and I think I don't understand why CIG just doesn't do it now. But if you die, you get your ship back like normal, like how we do now, except for it's bone stock, like you had it, like it's your ship. You get it back. You pay expedited fee. I think expedited fee should go way up, but whatever. And you just have to either buy those components again. Just implement a basic marketing system. Like if I go buy 300 JS300s from Orson, and then I take them in my Hull C and I fly them over to Checkmate and I put them on the market for 20% up, because people are out there selling and buying and dying and whatever, and they're like, oh man, there's JS300s for a cheap, and adjust the prices so that the money you make and the money you spend, like there's some parity there, then all of a sudden you're going to have a living, breathing economy. People are actually going to start shipping components around different parts of the galaxy,
and then people get pirated.
People are going to want to, like people are going to like, and then all of a sudden you catch a C2 and it's full of snow blinds and all these other components because you're like, oh my god, these guys are making a run to whatever, or, like there's actually, and players will choose what the hub is. Will it be ArcCorp? I don't know. I mean, you can have some hand in it. You can make it so that ArcCorp has all the cheapest prices.
It'll probably be the gateways. It'll probably be Pyro and Stanton gateways.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows, right? But I mean, it's just with the whole economy we have now. Like they always talk about economy and stuff, and I'm just like,
it doesn't
I just
exist.
tune them out because it's just such BS, and I just feel like I'm listening to some like intern talk about economy and stuff because I come from online. I'm like, I'm just so spoiled because Eve is just the best simulation environment when it comes to any kind of player driven economy by far.
Yep. And it's so simple. Like I explained it in 2 sentences, right? Like you take the exact systems that we have now in Star Citizen. I die, my ship dies, it's gone forever unless I go back and get it. Maybe it's soft death, but if it has literally been hard death, it's gone. A percentage of my components drop in a maybe damaged state, and they can be salvaged. A percentage of them die. Same with the cargo. So the people who actually got the kill can loot it, but they don't get everything, and it's kind of random what you get. That's exactly what Eve does. Then I respawn. I click a button. I spend the money, and it is even the best part is it's better than the insurance system because the punishment that CIG uses is time.
I know.
Sitting around doing nothing is never a good choice for a video game where people typically, especially the age group of the players that are Star Citizen backers, older, like we're some of the younger ones, Avenger. I think you're quite a bit younger than me. I'm 40.
I'm 34.
Okay, yeah, you're not that much younger, but
buddy, you don't
young
look
enough.
a day over 58.
Thanks, man.
I'm kidding.
But the player base that you have does not have a lot of time to play, and you're using time as a punishment. Even for piracy, it's not a good or for criminal activity. I don't think it's a good punishment. So it's like I don't find this to be the best choice, and I'm not changing anything when I'm giving you that example from what you have now. I'm literally only making it better. You press a button, you get everything back, so long as it's there. And
you know what you could do? You know what would actually fix this problem? And then we could have both systems, because you're never going to get rid of the people that are going to be whinging about, oh, I pay X amount of dollars, I need my ship. Like you can't.
Fuck them, they already paid.
You could be in trouble legally if they do that. So who knows, right? So what I think they would probably be better off doing is, instead of having, you have licensed ships and you have unlicensed ships. I can go to Grimhex or somewhere else and I can buy a salvaged quote unquote Arrow or whatever for like 1/100th the price or whatever the price is, cheap. But if I lose it, it's gone. Like it's just it's unclaimable. It's like a one-time use. You buy it, whatever, throw some stuff in it. It's either stolen or whatever, and off you go. Right.
But what happens 10 years from now when everybody has the licensed ships that they can't use? Right. So like okay. What I mean is I think I know where you're going, and I should not have interrupted. So I'm going to apologize, but I'll just finish and hopefully we get to the right place. But again, I'm sorry. I'll say it twice. If you go from a place where like you have these unlicensed ships that can be lost and they get lost forever, and maybe you get the insurance money back or something like that. But then you have the ships like how we have them currently. If I bought this on the pledge store, I never fucking lose it ever. Then the people, what you get is you get a system where you're telling the player, oh, okay, make as much money as you can, as quickly as you can, get all of your ships in the state where you can never lose them, and then that part of the game is over for you. And then the people who craft, the people who mine, the people who do all that stuff have less and less impact on the world, or have less and less things to do. So I keep trying to look at this from a wider view, because I do obviously want to do the crafting and stuff like that. I'm not trying to make the game for me, to be very clear. This is something that like my eyes only opened more recently by playing EVE Online, was like, holy crap, all of this stuff is made by players, but the game doesn't suffer because of it. It's only better because of it. When I thought that, like, okay, if you do it the way EVE Online does it, there's going to be holes and, oh man, the thing that I really need is not here. That does not happen that often, believe it or not. Within reason, like if you stay within a, like, you don't have to jump that far if there's not something at a certain place. And if it isn't, you can ask somebody to bring it to you. So yeah, it's I come from this strictly about the health of the game for many, many years. And the direction I think you were about to say before I interrupted, again, super rudely, I feel like the goal for that player would be to just get to the point where they get the ships that they can't lose. But continue. I could have gotten completely off base, but yeah.
It's all good. So you're on the right track. The point I was trying to make is you're never going to have a system like Eve because we've gone too far in the direction that we have now, and people are not going to want to let go of this idea that, hey guys, we're going to move to Star Citizen 1 point whatever,
Yeah.
and it's going to be live now, and that means when you lose your ship that you spent $250,000 or whatever, it's gone.
Yeah,
It's
they'll
gonna be
never
like
do
that
it.
South Park episode where it's like, hey, we're just gonna put that in a mutual fund and it's gone.
Yeah, they'll never do
Well,
that.
I just bought a Javelin. It's gone. Next in line,
Yeah.
please. Like, it's just gonna be horrible. So we have to have some ownership there. So you have to make a differentiation between ownership and not. But I come at this from a point of view of it's all about cost, right? Whether you own the ship or you don't own the ship, or it's stolen or it's not stolen, who cares, right? The cost of the ship shouldn't be in the hull of the ship.
It should
The
be in the
cost of the ship
components and everything.
should be in the components, right? The
Okay.
components, the customization, all these other aspects
Or
of
the
it,
like
right?
crafting tier. Like, I think most people would agree that if your ship died at tier 5, it should go back to tier 1 and then you craft it up or something like that. And that can solve that
Right.
problem as well.
I mean, crafting potentially could have something to do with that too, but it's also like if you lose your Idris, because we want to get away from the duping, right? Because unfortunately, the whole
Yes.
concept of the system they
Yes.
have now is people just dupe, right?
Yep.
So I have a Gladius, I just dupe it and off we go. So there's got to be a whole bunch of stuff to get rid of duping.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I agree with you. An EVE Online system is far superior because, quote unquote, there is no duping. It's not possible. Like, you have a hull of a ship, it's there. Like, if it dies, you just build a new one.
Yep. And if nobody
And that
builds
costs,
it, then people,
Yeah.
and the demand's still there, then all of a sudden the price goes up, and then
Yep.
all of a sudden people start building them because it's actually worth it. It's like, it's
Yeah, and then
very
people
cool
start
to
having
see how this works.
wars.
Guys, I
Yeah,
watch
and
it.
then
I
people-
watch an Eve YouTuber that every week he goes through the top, like the biggest price change from that week, up and down, and the biggest stock changes, full and unfull,
I know.
at the main hub. It is so cool. Yeah, his name's Oz. Some people know him in chat. It's so cool. It's the coolest shit ever. How can you not want that in your video? And it's all happening because of player choice. A little bit because of what the levers that the devs are turning. But
So
how can you
so
not
here's
want
my
something
idea.
like that? It's crazy.
You could have a world where both systems sort of exist, and how I said
Yeah.
before is you could have it so that you have licensed and unlicensed. So like
Explain
licensed
what you mean,
ships.
because I obviously interrupted before.
So you pay real money for an arrow, right?
Yep.
And you go out to Pyro, you get into a dogfight or whatever, and you get smoked, and you're like, oh shit, and you respawn at checkmate, whatever, right?
Okay.
And you go to your console and you hit claim. Guess what? You bought that ship for real money. That's great. You can claim it, but it will only spawn at your home station. So now you got to get up, you got to go back to your home station, you got to pick it up because it's yours, right? However, let's say you're somewhere else in the galaxy and you're like, man, I'm not going all the way back to Orson, my home station, whatever. Okay, let me look at the market here. How many? Oh, they got a buck here for, that's not a bad price. It's an unlicensed buck. It's cheap, whatever. I'm not going to go spend 20 million on a brand new buck that's
Okay.
that's licensed that I can claim. But again, it'll claim at my home station.
Yeah.
I gotta go, so this idea that,
I love the home station idea.
yeah. And again, it's still gonna come back with no components on it. You're still gonna have to upgrade it. You're still gonna have to do whatever you want, whatever, right? But more people will be more interested in buying and selling unlicensed ships because there will be a market for them,
What do you think about if your ship dies, you get the blueprint, and you got to rebuild it?
Right, but that's still essentially like an unlicensed thing too. You build these blueprint ships that are quote unquote licensed. So they, there's different abilities in the sense that you can maybe go in places on Empire space without any issues, right? Cops won't give you problems because they have your license number, that kind of stuff, if you build it normally.
Yeah.
But if you go and steal and do whatever, then they might be like, why don't you have a registry number? Like, what's going on here? And they might charge you, be like, hey, you got to go get a registry number. You're going to get charged, whatever. So there's costs associated to cheating, essentially. You know what I mean? Like getting a ship that's cheaper, So if you're going to stay in non-Empire space, then maybe running an unlicensed ship's no problem. But maybe if you come into Empire space, you're like, okay, I'm just going to, I'm going to take my licensed one. I'm going to do whatever, I'm going to take the one I crafted and got an Empire number for it or whatever, so that you can run around Empire space not having a problem. These things could have both systems exist, where you have that market system, because you want to give people their ship that they paid for, but you don't want it to be like it is now, where everything is basically free all the time forever. I mean, we got way off topic, but it was a fun topic. Like, it really is.
Yeah. My bad. But yeah, it's something I'm so passionate about, and I don't know how we got there either.
Buddy. Because we're both Eve brains. That's how we think.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just hate insurance so much. I hate insurance.
Yeah, I hate it too, dude.
In this game. It's so bad. It's so stupid. And I think it hurts everything. I think it hurts PvP. I think it hurts PvE. I think it hurts the economy. I think it hurts everything. I can't see too many positive
Well, you can't have an economy without risk. Like that's literally how economies
exactly.
Like, yeah. So they're like, oh, the economy. I'm like, shut up. Like,
there is none.
There's no economy. There's no economy. Like, there's nothing.
We had a tiny little one for a second there that was really, really cool until the duping with Wicklow. That was so cool. Like, my org was.
Yeah.
We gave you stuff, right? We gave a bunch of people shit. We gave so many people shit. I forgot if we gave you. Like, we worked so hard for a bunch of people, and it felt really good. And our org got paid. Your org got what they wanted, and everybody was happy. High Lord is the guy who handles a lot of that stuff. He even remembers exactly how much 600 SCU of Quantanium to Avenger 1.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I was so happy with that.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think we're that far off the topic when you really think about it, because without those things, the state of kind of PvP in Star Citizen instantly gets better. If those things are better, PvP gets better, because PvP, like the big argument from so many people is there's no point in PvPing. And that's not true at all. The point is, like, what's the point of playing chess against another person? There's no point in the actual, like, if you're looking at it from the same perspective as that person. It's just a game. It doesn't matter who wins. Doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But you're challenging yourself, and you're learning, and you're playing or whatever. And that stuff's fun. So that's why people are PvPing now, I would imagine, right? You like getting better at PvP, Avenger. I'm sure you like winning and hate losing. And that's the best part.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does.
That's the best part about winning and losing, is losing feels so bad and winning feels so good. That's why you do it.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. So it's like, that's why it's there. So, okay. But then when the winning and losing is kept score way better with these other systems, all of a sudden it gets really cool.
And it gives you a reason. Here's the thing. It gives you a reason to train. It gives you a reason to fight. Now, all of a sudden people are interested, like, man, I got to learn how to fight, because, like, I want to go and I want to, build a base in Pyro and make crazy T5 kit and blah, blah, blah.
And you can't unless you could defend yourself.
And the thing is, like, that stuff real, and that's why I kind of giggle, because I think that's where we're going. I mean, they literally concepted it at CitizenCon. They're saying this is where we're going, right? So it's not like we don't know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And this idea that people are like, oh, it's a PvE game. I'm like, your PvE experience will be underlined and foundationalized based off of PvPers protecting you or attacking you. Like, the good stuff, the really high quality stuff, the Bengals, all that. Like, you can build stuff in Empire space, but you ain't going to build Bengal. You ain't going to build these other facilities. They'll be like EVE Online in that sense. Like, the really high tier stuff, the really hard to get stuff, it's all going to be in high risk areas. And guess what? There's tons of PvP in those areas. And there's tons of PvP in Stanton. Like, if people think that Stanton's safe, I'm like, bro, there's more PvP going on in Stanton than there ever has been.
Yeah.
There's so much more PvP. It's crazy.
Stanton maybe should get a bit safer with quotes around it. Terra should probably be really safe. But the I am very much of the, and we probably would disagree on this a little bit. This is where I stray away from what I like EVE Online wise, is I do think that there's some places, and I go more Albion Online on this. If you've ever played that game, is there's blue zones in Albion Online where you cannot kill anybody and you cannot lose anything, but it's the lowest tier items, but those items are relevant in the game world because you kind of the tier system of like 1, 2, 3 all the way up to 8. Ones are used in 2's production. 2s are used in 3, 3s are used in 4, and then so on. So it goes up this ladder. So it all starts with it's like a a pyramid scheme. It's like it all starts with the base of a lot of tier 1 material, a little bit less tier 2, and then you go all the way up to tier 8. So the people who are gathering and crafting tier 1 stuff are relevant in the game's economy always, and they're able to live in that world without ever being killed, but they're playing a part, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I'd love to see like a Stanton a little bit, Terra a lot to be. I think that's where it could be successful is you can mine, you can salvage, you can PvE, you can, and what's even better about that is you can even PvP, where you go into these instance dungeons in that game, and it literally pits you 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, I think. I'm not sure about the 1v1 part. Definitely 2v2. And it's called like a yellow zone, where we can actively hit at each other, but we can't loot each other. But whoever kills the other group is left with the spoils at the end. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like in a game like Star Citizen, that's not something that can easily be achieved or happen, but it creates a system where everybody who's interacted with each zone has literally signed on the dotted line that they understand what they're getting into, where the moment you undock in EVE Online, you can die. The moment you undock in Star Citizen, in most places, you can die. Right. Yep. And that's a situation that the modern gamer, I don't think, can handle very well. So I would love to see some areas where that when you undock you're going to die thing doesn't exist. So those players can just chill out and mine copper. And that's it, right? Or salvage low grade, like maybe RMC ends up being like low grade garbage in comparison to salvaging
so there's
something else.
There's two things that they can do, and I mean they've pulled the genie out of the bottle. I told them not to do it, but they did it anyway because CIG, they went beam weapons. So now we have hit scan, laser, light speed weapons. So they're in the game now.
In a solo capital ship that's very difficult to kill. Okay.
Yeah. So there's absolutely no reason why you can't have these giant beam weapons at stations. And if anybody wants to mess around, then they just get lasered, phasered like you would in Star Trek, just gone, right? So you can basically turn it into a safe zone by... You just need weapon systems that can actually capably defend the places that they're at, right?
Have you taken a crime stat near a station recently? I feel like they've gotten better with it, but
they're a little bit better. But like, I can still kill anybody I want to at any station at any time,
even in 4.2.1, because that was like the big thing they changed in 4.2.1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been no change. Like occasionally I'll get hit and I'll be like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, there's turrets here, whatever. But that's me just being a goober. But when I'm dialed in and I want to kill something, the station does nothing to me.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah, still can't track enough.
Yeah,
or
like
whatever.
they're super ineffective. So either they put phasers on the turrets that just deter people, because they just need to start applying damage. I mean, I'm not bringing an Idris like I used to into the stations now because the station guns will kill it. But fighters can engage whoever you want, and the station can't do nothing about it, really. You know?
Okay.
You know, and they put all these stops in place to make it harder. You know, oh, you can't loot someone because you can't get on their ship because you get repositioned, all this dumb stuff. And it's like, you're just overcomplicating. Yeah, like you're just overcomplicating a very simple issue, man. Like, there's two ways to either just have ridiculous missile span that's unflareable to deter people with crime stats around stations so that stations become safe. So that, you undock and you're just not immediately murdered, you know? Or you add phasers / laser weapons to some of the big emplacement turrets And again, I want to define this: big emplacement turrets, so that, you know, all you have to do is put 1 or 2 of them there that can attack you from, you know, 5K away, and anybody landing will be safe.
Yeah.
They have to do that. Like, there's no other way around it. And I don't agree with it, but they've already, like I said, no, escorts. So Win says higher escorts. No, it's never the.
Don't
no,
even listen.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say nothing.
Anybody says higher escorts, they're not thinking clearly. I'm going to say it in the nicest way. You're not thinking clearly. You're foggy. So, you have a foggy brain right now. Very foggy brain, and that's it. I'm not going to be rude. You got brain fog today.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, they pulled the genie out of the bottle on that one. So it is what it is. Yeah. My worry is that they're going to put more beam weapons on ships. And look, if you put hit scan weapons in the game that are smaller than capital weapons at this point, like, you might as well just write off every one of your fighters, because now they will just it'll just turn into Star Trek, where the only viable ships will be the biggest ships and everyone else will just get lasered everywhere.
Agreed.
So,
all right. Well, it's noon, and that's usually our stopping time. So before we go, is there anything like quickly that we missed that you wish I asked or brought up or anything?
Yeah, I wanted to touch a little bit on the culture war.
Go for it.
Real quickly, right? Because I've been seeing this a lot. This idea. So a lot of times I'll go up to like OM1 on Crusader and I'll put in chat. I'll say, hey, you know, there's 600 people in the server. I have a crime stack. Come take it. Like, come have some fun. You know, I call it carefree PvP. I'm literally broadcasting to the entire shard. Hey, I'm here. We're looking for fights. Come play. And there's just this deluge of children that fill up the chat really quickly. And they're like, oh, you're griefing this and that. And
I got a fun story for you.
I'm like,
fun
first
story
of all,
when you're
I'm
done.
like, what? I'm like, I feel like I'm trying to do everything right here. Like, I'm literally just, first of all, ships are like, they're worth literally nothing, you know. And
we just talked about how you don't lose anything.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm literally just saying, like, come play, like, come grab your friends, get together, because those big battles that you see me making on my YouTube channel, they only happen when people get together and come have some fun, and they are a lot of fun. So I think I'm coming out there almost like giving a gift to the server, saying like, hey, there's a hotspot for fun. Come bring your friends, have a great experience. Like, that's how I look at it. And then all these people, they start like, you know, I've left Reddit years ago, but I can't imagine what goes on over there.
Same.
But there's this,
Reddit and
like,
Twitter. I do not do. I go on Twitter. I occasionally make a post and then do not open it to see the result.
It's just crazy. Like, and the thing is, recently, like, I got genuinely griefed. Like, they came into Klesher with guns and weapons to stop me from getting out, like literally into the tunnels. They got into my hangar trying to kill me at Grimhex. They would camp the doors. As soon as I'd open, they'd kill my ship before I could even get in it. You know, they ran into my hangar at Grimhex trying to kill me with their guns. They rammed into me. They did everything possible. They gaslit the crap out of me. And I'm just kind of giggling. I'm like, they followed me to different servers. Like, this is, by definition, griefing. It's, you know, it's by the EULA. It's like, you can't harass someone, you know, specifically them, follow servers, all that stuff, right? And I brought it up the chain of command. I gave it to some CIG people, so they'll do with what they want to do with it. But that is actual griefing, right? And here's the thing. I don't care. It's just that there are mechanics in the game that allow this behavior to flourish. And I emphasize the word flourish, because that's what it's doing, right? And on one hand, you have these literal griefers that are flourishing and just ruining people's time and just being complete asshats and just being such little children. And then on the other spectrum side, you've got me trying to teach people, trying to get people involved, trying to be positive, like, come on, come have some fun, broadcasting everyone. It's like, all you have to do is use your brain cell for 2 seconds and be like, oh, is that OM1? I'll just avoid it. And that's fine. If you want to avoid it, I'm not arguing, like, go ahead, avoid it. But if your chat's not on and you're just going about your day and you jump into OM1, yeah, you're going to get shot. Like, that's not griefing. Like, that's not griefing.
You want to hear the story? Man. You want to hear the story?
Yeah,
so I did an NPSI fleet yesterday, and I did it on stream. So I mostly have Star Citizen fans that are watching, and this is an EVE Online thing, guys. Basically, what it means is, Me and my buddies all grab some ships. We're here in safe space. We teleport to unsafe space and go and fuck with them, and then I'll get to why you fuck with them. Okay, so we're screwing around. We're killing miners. We're killing haulers, whatever we come across. It was mostly miners this day, and also like little mission runners or PvEers. We were killing just what in Star Citizen people would consider griefing. And somebody brought it up in chat. Are you not just griefing right now? And and I laughed and I was like, this is the problem with Star Citizen people. And I started going off and I was playing with other Eve streamers and I made sure I put this in comms. And I was like, you guys would consider this griefing, but what you have to understand is what we're doing is we're killing this alliance's miners and their PvEers, so they escalate and bring people who actually fight here. So the idea is to poke the bear.
Yes,
you're poking the beehive, and then a big fight happens, tons of content, and everyone has fun. And everybody does it to each other, so they know, like, nobody cried in in-game chat that I killed the miner. The miner goes, well, fuck, that sucked. I'll go buy another one and go again once this is all over. Or they'll type in chat, hey, these people are fucking with me over here. Go kill them. Because there's a ton of people that are in that space that are just waiting, chomping at the bit for a fight. And guess what? That's happening in Star Citizen. The problem with EVE Online, and this will always be the problem with EVE Online versus Star Citizen if something doesn't change drastically, EVE Online is one server, one play instance. Everyone's in the same play field.
Yeah.
Avenger 1's in one server, somebody else is in another. Those two are willing to fight, but Avenger 1's typing in Gen Chat on one server and the other guy's typing in Gen Chat on another, and nobody's coming together to fight. And then there's this whole thing where people are like, oh, well, you get on my server, so I run, and then they start arguing with each other. I can't wait till that shit goes away, because one day we'll have to be on a server together, hopefully. I don't think we'll ever get one Galaxy. I hope that we get like NA, EU, Asia at the like best chance that we get. And then like NA people can play on EU servers, maybe NA West people maybe can play on Asian servers and have a few, experiences in different servers if one's healthier than another. But I don't know if we'll ever get one. We'll see. We'll see what dynamic meshing does, hopefully. But yeah, they didn't get it. They were so confused. And then once they saw the result of us poking the bear, which ended up in crazy cool fights, like that was wild. We had a great time. I died fucking first because I'm an idiot, but I wasn't moving. I was literally standing still. I was such a dumbass. But there ended up being a really, really good fight. And I hope people saw that's what it was. And that's why people used to kill people at Port Olisar. They weren't doing it to be an asshole necessarily. They were being an asshole to provoke an actual fight. But nobody actually ever fought.
Yeah. See, so again, this is what I struggle with too, because you're absolutely right. Like, you're on the money, like you're bullseye. Because, and I guess because I'm an EVE player too, and I come here and I have that mentality. So I go to OM1 and I'm not being an asshole. I'm literally saying like, hey guys, like, let's come play, like, have some fun. Because like SC communities, like, they're very soft, right? So I'm trying to be gentle. I'm trying to like, come on, come play, get your friends together, like get your friends and their friends, and then come escalate, But there isn't really a lot of large groups right now. Like Star Citizen is very like, you might find these 2 or 3 man groups, like nothing too big. There's no organized groups or alliances yet, really, and to actually promote these larger fights. So when I did end up finding a fight at that OLP and there was all these capital ships and there's all this going on, I was just ecstatic. I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, this is really fun. And I've had some pretty big fights, not big fights, but I've had some real brawls at OM1 Crusader because I shoot a couple ships down, then ITC got one of their guys got killed, and they're a big group, so they brought their Idris in, and there was a big fight, and we were just like, that's the fun part, like that's, I don't know how else to explain, like, unless you're actually in those fights and actually participating in them, like to me, that there's just no other game like it. Like that's the really exciting, fun part about Star Citizen. And I feel like a lot of people just aren't exposed to it. But if they were, they might have a completely different opinion and be way more willing to like get on board, jump on their buddy's Idris and go have some fun. And this is why flight and all this balance is really relevant and important, because if there is such a skewed meta, skewed way of playing the game, it's harder to have fun when you're not able to contribute in a meaningful way, because everyone's just running around in arrows or this new TL21 or whatever, and it's
in
just
the
kind of
NPSI
like,
fleet, I was running Logi.
Yeah,
we don't have that in Star Citizen at all, right? And Logi is like a healer, basically, guys. The
were you running a Guardian or were you running a
Scalpel? Scalpel or something, scimitar, something.
With the Mimitar one,
the
T1 one or the T2 one?
T2.
Okay,
but
that's
it was
cool.
Okay, scimitar then. I knew it began with an S. I don't know all the names. There's so many ships. There's more ships in Eve than are in Star Citizen, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I have to remember all the Star Citizen ships and the Eve ships. I can't remember them yet. But but yeah, it was fun. I had another like similar experience, but it was a good one in Star Citizen though. I got an attempted pirate during the early days of the resource drive event. So I was running from the outpost freight elevators while they were still working. As soon as I left, I got attacked. But they had a Mantis, they were prepared, but they didn't do enough damage to kill me before I get back into the Armistice Zone. And they go, just pay me and we'll let you leave. First off, I didn't believe them. Second, I went, no, I'm not paying you. And yes, I am going to leave. And they were like, no, you're not. And I was like, okay, we'll see. And I type in Gen Chat, pirates at this station. Anyone want to come and help kill them? Where again?
My man.
Bam. A bunch of people come. I also messaged Cutlet and was like, hey, pirates, there's people pirating me here, because he was online. And so I got him and then a couple of my org mates as well. And then we all went there and killed them. And I left. And I said, see, told you I was going to leave. But the best part was I was like, but I'm not calling you a griefer. I'm not crying like a bitch. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do. And that is
buddy.
Get friends or get wingman. But you can't get wingman to protect you before it happens. If the game makes it so I can call, this is another concept in EVE Online, like standing fleets that are just sit there chilling, waiting for somebody to call them. And it's social hour until there's a fight, and then they go and fight. And that's probably what we got killed by, was a standing fleet. So, it's just basically that's what happened, and everybody was happy with the exchange. The pirates, GG, good fight. Me, GG.
That's what happens.
And that was it.
Like Arena Commander is the social hour for us flight guys. So we basically hang out in Arena Commander until our recon teams actually find something, and then everyone piles in and they're like, oh, there's a fight. Woo! And then we go play and they go back to Arena Commander. Now, wouldn't it be cool if we could get access to those AC pods in the Idris, and we would just have our flight crews stationed on the Idris while things are going on, playing Arena Commander off inside the PU in the flight pods, and then when something happened, they just get out of the flight pod and they're right there.
Yeah.
It'd
be great. It'd be great. But all right, Avenger, that's time for me, and I appreciate you coming on. Sorry for the camera stuff or whatever, but I think it worked out pretty well. It was fun. But yeah, so your tier list stuff is coming out. You're putting out a video, I'm assuming?
I'm gonna release it in the next 2 hours.
Perfect. So this video will be out around that time as well. So then when it's out, I'll link to those there so people can see them. Anything you got going on that you want to share with people before we go? Anything?
I switched my stream schedule to starting at 5 p.m. EST.
Okay.
I've been doing that for like the last month, so that's kind of a new change. A lot of people are used to me starting at around 2, but I'm starting at 5 now.
Cool.
And it works out pretty good.
Nice.
And I'm gonna be cranking the content up in the next month or two, pretty substantially. Like there's a little bit of a thing going on for me, but I think probably starting after CitizenCon, it's gonna start ramping up pretty heavy.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean now's a good time to like
kind of upcoming year.
Now's a good time to take it easy, chill, don't do too much, don't burn out, because there's nothing to burn out for at the moment. And
yeah, it's You know what? I'll leave you off with this. I've been really debating on creating essentially like a board game on a website and then having scheduled fights in the PU with the different players on this board. So like imagine like
As like
Settlers of
pieces.
Catan. Yeah, so
Cool.
it takes place over the year. I make videos on every one of the engagements, and it's all like kind of like Risk, but you know, every week everyone takes a turn, and then you know they. I think it could be really cool to kind of
Fuck yeah.
keep
That'd be
people kind
super
of
sick.
interested and give guys a reason to want to come out and do stuff. And I think it could be kind of fun. I mean, we'll have to see if I can pull it off, but we'll see. But
It's a cool
that's the
idea.
idea I'm kind of floating around because I want PvP to be embraced more, and I'm trying my best to get people to want to give it a fair shot. And like you know, the culture war thing we were talking about. So, but anyway, I mean,
Come here.
we
I
got
want you to see my
we got more
dog.
time left, but
Come,
the dog.
come, up. There she is.
Aw,
That's Clover.
she's adorable.
German Shepherd Pitbull mix, and she's super sweet. But I know
Aw,
you only saw her when she was a puppy at last, I think. So now she's a monster.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
all
should
right.
be getting Sam.
Go ahead.
I should be getting Sam, my dog, back in my life at some point soon. So I'm excited. So
Hell yeah.
it's not the same without dogs, buddy.
This is my first ever one, so I have to agree. I never thought that I would love dogs as much as I do, but I do. So I was definitely.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, man. I had an absolute blast, dude. Thank you so much, dude.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and yeah, follow both me and Avenger on YouTube and everything. I think he's already gone, which is funny because his camera's still there. This is a totally weird one, but I'll be able to do the outro without like keeping him too long. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh no, he's still there. Cool. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out Avenger 1. I guess his tier list stuff today on YouTube. So check it out. Avenger __1, just to make sure you're searching for it correctly. All right. Thanks again, guys. Catch you later. And I'm not going to do a raid. I'm just going to sign off for today. All right. So be good. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget. Oh, I didn't get to do it because Avenger doesn't have camera. I almost forgot. Croncy would have yelled at me. And don't forget to answer the call.
My man.
Hell yeah.